So for my philosophy class, I was assigned a question. It was 6 people go hiking and they get stuck in a cave. One guy tries to crawl through the mouth of the cave and gets stuck. No matter how much the remaining 5 people push and pull this guy, let's name him Tom, he won't budge and they're running out of oxygen. But one of the hikers happens to have a stick of dynamite and they can either blow him up and escape, or they can run out of oxygen and die, and Tom will likely survive because somebody will come to save him. So it's either Tom dies and the 5 of them live, or the 5 of them die and Tom lives. So initially I was like, obviously blow up Tom because 5 guys live and 1 person dies. But I decided to go to my textbook for more answers and see what kind of theories they have to come to a decision in a moral dilemma. So I decided to explore 2 theories. One of them is act utilitarianism, the other one's rule utilitarianism. So act utilitarianism states that the moral decision is one which generates greater pleasure for the least amount of pain. Jeremy Bentham was a act utilitarianism, and he said that pleasure and pain can be quantified. So according to Bentham, an act utilitarianism, killing Tom would be the moral decision because 5 people get to live, which is pleasure, and 1 dies, which is pain. But there's a lot of fallacies to this theory because how can you ever quantify pain? It's entirely subjective. And what if the 5 hikers decide to kill Tom, but later they feel so guilty that they in fact feel more pain? And what about Tom's relatives? I mean, if I was Tom's mom, I'd be really sad and I'd feel a lot of pain that he died. Should Tom's relatives' happinesses be accounted for as well? So I think act utilitarianism isn't a very good theory to look for when you try to come to a moral decision because of its oversimplified definition of pleasure and its consequences. So on the other hand, we have rule utilitarianism. And rule utilitarianism states that there should be a set of moral rules. So instead of focusing on one individual situation and which decision would generate greater pleasure, there's just a set of rules to follow for every circumstance. John Stuart Mill was a rule utilitarianist philosopher who said that there should be a set of moral rules. So if they decided that killing an innocent man is forbidden, in that case, you can't kill Tom. So the 5 people would be deprived of oxygen and they would die, and Tom would live. And that would be the moral decision. Again, there's a lot of fallacies to rule utilitarianism. Like, how are you ever going to agree on a set of moral rules? That's very difficult for just so many reasons. And also, if you did end up coming to a set of rules, it's not going to be very efficient in always coming to the best moral decision. So you're going to have to make exceptions to specific circumstances, in which case it won't be any different than act utilitarianism, and it will have the same flaws as act utilitarianism. So how specific are the rules going to be? And how can you ever make it efficient when it's just a broad general statement? And that's why I think rule utilitarianism is also not a very good theory, because it's just too broad and inefficient to follow. So both of the theories that I explored ended up being pretty bad, but it was interesting to see how they approach the moral decision. If I had to choose one, I would choose act utilitarianism because it's more situation specific rather than the broad rule utilitarianism. So I still think that Tom should die because 5 people get to live, but it's the hiker's decision to decide. I'm not a hiker, so I don't know. That's it. Thanks for listening.